Okay, I know I look rough and we don't normally film videos in this angle, but I just have to say something about this, okay? I have to make one thing very, very clear when it comes to the situation in Iran at the moment with the war, and that is, dear lefties, Trump did not wake up one day and go, you know what, I'm going to start a war with Iran. Please, can we stop with this narrative? It is driving me up the wall, okay? When I say it's driving me up the wall, it's not only, like, just on social media, okay? This narrative is leaking into my real life, and I will tell that story in a minute. But this is so infuriating because the way that at the moment, with Khamenei now being dead, the Crown Prince can return soon, you know, those who are on the correct side of what's been going on know the situation and know to be happy about this. The way that we should be happy about this, and that yet the lefties are still making it about Israel being the bad guys, Trump being the bad guy, because he just decided to start a war, is actually baffling to me. I thought that this issue with Iran was going to be the one thing that was going to be the thing that we could all come together and agree on. But apparently not, because of course not. Like, the way the divide is so hard. And as much as we want to say, like, we need to come together and unite against issues, and yet we have something that we could unite on here, and there is still a divide because of these stupid narratives that are going across, and people wanting to demonise Trump for anything and everything. Like, it's so infuriating. For those of you who clearly have not done even the ounce of research into the Iranian regime, the Iranian people, the way that they were begging Trump and America and even Israel to come and help them with this conflict, the way that has passed most people by, again, is absolutely baffling to me. And yet, it kind of shouldn't be, again, because people are stupid and they just believe anything that social media and the infographics that they see on someone's Instagram story and the BBC and all the mainstream media people are spouting on an everyday basis. The way that they just believe that without looking into it, I don't think is going to change fast, okay? I don't think it's just the world that we live in, okay? The infographic culture is something we could talk about, you know, in another podcast episode maybe. But again, you know, if you've not done the research, let me just educate you a little bit, okay? Because this regime, which, okay, I think everybody knows that the regime in Iran was oppressive, okay? I think that's the one thing we can agree on, at least mostly. And something has needed to be done about that for the past, what is it now? 52, 53 years they've been in power. Okay, what was it? In 1974, the Shah was pushed out and the regime came in, and it is the same Khamenei that took over then that has been running the country until a few days ago when he was finally taken out. Woohoo, go President Trump. And there have been uprisings from the people before, because again, they don't like being oppressed. Iran was a very civilized and slightly westernized country before the regime took over, right? Just look at some videos of, you know, old footage of Iran before the regime, which if you've been circling around over the last few years, which will show quite clearly what the situation was. And ever since the regime took over, there have been a few uprisings of especially women stepping up, removing their hijabs, you know, that kind of thing. Like back in, what was it, 2022, when that woman was killed, and then everybody, you know, I think that was the first time that, at least on social media, on a wide scale, people understood what was happening, and we had protests and for freedom for Iran, and then it kind of died down a little bit, at least in sort of what we were hearing over here. Unless you're a follower of Maya Tusi, in which case he's been keeping us updated with the situation, you know, quite regularly. Big up Maya. And his coverage of this war has been fantastic as well. I always like to promote him on my channel, he's a friend of mine. But there have been a few uprisings since then, but none like this. And again, like I said, the Iranian people were begging Trump, were begging President Trump to come and help them out with this, because they were so hungry for freedom, and it was so close, because they knew that if anyone was going to help them out with this, it was President Trump. And that's precisely what he's done. It took minutes for them to eliminate who they needed to who they needed to eliminate. And yes, of course, now what's left of the IRGC is now, this is important, what's left of the IRGC, not President Trump, not Israel, is now going to other countries, like, you know, ones in the UAE, and are striking them. We've had trouble in Qatar and near Dubai, and again, like the UAE. And this is what I mean when I say that it's leaking into my personal life, is that I have a colleague of mine who is currently stuck in the Philippines because his wife's from the Philippines, they went to visit family, and he's stuck there because of the fact that obviously they can't pass through the airspace to get home because obviously conflicts, right? And the way that I had to educate people at work who were convinced that this is because Trump decided to start a war was actually baffling. I was like, oh my god, this is coming off social media at this point, it is going to my real life, this is insane. The way I had to be like, no, Trump eliminated, like, he'd only been hitting Iran. Only Iran. He's not been hitting anywhere else, just Iran. It is what's left of the IRGC and their forces that have gone and retaliated to other countries, basically in a temper tantrum, right? The way that I had to educate people was so mind-numbing and frustrating at the same time. But again, it's any excuse to hate Trump. It is any excuse to say Trump's the bad guy, Trump just likes war, Trump just likes to start wars, is such a false narrative that has been peddled by the mainstream media and social media. And listen, I'm not going to deny that some civilians have been lost in this. Obviously, one of the main things I've been seeing on social media is people demonizing Israel, of course, over a school being hit. And yes, quite a lot of students died, and the BBC flinging about some civilian death toll that I can't remember. And yeah, I'm sure that the civilians have been killed, but was that on purpose? No. No, that was not. I saw a creator that I like to watch for commentary purposes saying, like, it was any excuse, like, Israel can't get involved without wanting to just kill kids, and it's like, that's not... Again, the way the lefties will just jump on any ridiculous narrative is insane to me. Shouldn't be so insane, but continues to be insane, because it's just like, how are you so stupid? But again, I'm not denying that people have been killed, but was that on purpose? No. That school just happened to be next to an Iranian barracks. Why do the IRGC have a barracks next to a school? Well, that's a question we could all ask ourselves and answer ourselves, can't we? But that's what happened. It was an accident. It was a tragic accident, but it was an accident. Israel would never go and help America with such an important task that is important to them as well, Israel, you know, to get rid of the IRGC, to eliminate Khamenei and the rest of the IRGC. Like, that is something that is very, very important to Israel as well as America, because they're a threat to both, right? So there would be no way that Israel would join forces with America and then purposefully bomb civilians. Are you stupid? It's not rocket science. This should not be rocket science, but it is to some people. It's just, yeah. So, listen, freedom for Iran, Javid Shah, let's get the Shah back in to create the transitional government, let's rebuild Iran to the kind of country that it was pre-regime, which I know that people, like, the amount of videos I've seen, which surprisingly are being shared by lefty social media and lefty media, right? They're just focused on the death toll and how many civilians have been killed, and the fact that it's Trump and Israel that have been doing this, right? But the amount of videos that I've seen, which have been really heartwarming, of people out on the streets with American flags and, you know, Persian flags, celebrating this win for the country, because it really is, and then thanking President Trump for doing what that needed to be done decades ago, okay? And basically, and also kind of undoing what previous president did back in 1974, you know, basically helped the IRGC get into power, if you know, you know. But which, if you don't know about that, I'd highly recommend looking that up, because that's very, very interesting. But the videos that are coming out just a pure celebration are what should be being highlighted, but it's just not. And it's so frustrating when it comes to this whole conflict to see that that's what's being pushed. But again, it's the mainstream media, it's lefties. They're going to believe anything that they want to believe. They believe that if they want to believe that somebody's evil and this is the villain for today, then they're just going to go gung-ho, completely just flat out, this is who we're targeting, this is who we hate today, and that's what we're seeing with this whole situation. So I know this isn't a traditional podcast episode, this is very shorter to a lot of my other ones, but I just needed to get on here and do this rant because I've been thinking about how I'm going to talk about this and I'm seeing too many things that are making me angry. So I just had to get on here and talk about this in this way because it's so important that we get the truth out there. And again, Javid Shah, let's get the Crown Prince back in Iran so we can start to rebuild and just create some peace on this earth. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any other podcast episodes that I make, because normally we're in a little bit different setup. I do my makeup, it's a fun little time over here. But yeah, let me know all of your thoughts in the comments and I will see you guys in the next one.